Let's go.
Welcome to the Soul Fam podcast, where we expand your personal universe. I'm Diana Marquetta, and in each episode, Soul Fam co-founder, co-creator Lexi Strummer-Solden and I interview the world's most rising and longtime experts in consciousness, spirituality, entertainment, healing, and science. From Earth's dimensions and dimensions way, way beyond. On the Soul Fam podcast, our frequencies are high and your heart chakras will open as these powerful voices of today share cutting-edge research, profound experiences, and valuable knowledge for your world in this out-of-this-world, thought-provoking, envelope-pushing interviews that could only take place right here on the Soul Fam podcast. Welcome to the Soul Fam podcast. On today's great podcast, we have Sujon Datta, who created the Love More Institute, I'm going to say, workshops, lessons, wisdom. Sujon is a bioenergetic healer, a philosopher of sorts, and a healer of many. Sujon joined us on our very, very, very first episode of the Soul Fam podcast. And so we've asked him to come back, join us again today, maybe give us an overview of where the collective is and where we are all feeling, which is right between a rock and a hard place.
Well, thanks for having me. I don't know where to start because you kind of said it all. It's called the Love More Academy. And the vision is to help people understand that you are the one that needs to open your heart to yourselves because you are the creator of your reality. And Love More is really about helping people access love in their own unique way, because we can define love in so many different ways, but we all have our own vision of what that means. So the intention is to have a whole bunch of different avenues, perceptions. Like I have the Stress Less course, and I'm creating a thing called Supercharged. So I'm a bioenergetic healer. It's a fancy way of saying I'm a healer, and I've taken pranic healing, and I've about 25 years ago, but since then I've kind of, learned all kinds of different energetic tools to help people to really help them see themselves and reach their highest potential. And the one thing that I said on the first show, which is that I'm related to Paramahansa Yogananda, who brought yoga and meditation, Kriya Yoga, to the West in the 1920s, and he wrote a perennial bestseller called Autobiography of a Yogi. And that's my lineage, and I just happen to, I'll call it chosen. I don't know if I picked this, but I feel like I was chosen to help people really open their hearts to themselves. And that's my mission, and that's my service, and I hope to spread that message that love is, and love is the answer.
You mean it's not banking? It's not, 9 to 5? It's not...
No, I did that thing. I did the corporate life for about 8 years before I got the call. I worked for a major corporation, and I actually learned a lot, and I loved it, and I was very successful at it. I was a technical sales representative that sold plastic. And it was really cool because I got to talk with the engineers. I talked to all kinds of people who were actually creating new things. And at the time, remember Brita jugs, water? Well, that was one of my clients. And Wayne Gretzky hockey game and all kinds of really cool things. So, and even car parts and all that kind of stuff. But, I got the call, and it was Yogananda, and kind of like a vision. When you're in a half awake, half sleep state, that's when I had the visit from Paramahansa Yogananda, and it was as if he was right there next to me in an all white robe, not the typical saffron color, and he put his arms out and he said, "Come to me, come to me." come to me 3 times distinctly. Let's just say 6 months later, I quit my job and moved to Los Angeles from Toronto in search of what come to me meant. And here we are 24 years later.
It's funny. I met you shortly after that, actually, after you got here. I hadn't been here that long either. So it's funny how long we've known each other. So one of the things maybe some of our audience knows and maybe they don't know is that here in Los Angeles is one of the Yogananda centers for self-realization. And I'm going to butcher the actual title of the center. So why don't you tell us what that is in the Pacific Palisades and if that's why you came here?
Yeah. Yes. To answer the second question, I went to Los Angeles knowing that was where the hub was created. The original was in Mount Washington, and it's called the Self-Realization Fellowship. Picked this place that used to be a hotel where all the silent movie actors used to go up and partied in that hotel. And then anyway, it became for sale and chose that spot. Well, he founded Self-Realization Fellowship in 1920. And then 30 years later, 20th Century Fox donated the land, which is now known as the Lake Shrine, to Yogananda, because they kind of looked, and I guess the byline, if that's what you call it, was Church of all religions. So he was back then trying to unify all religions to say, look, it's all consciousness. It's not about Christ or Buddha or Krishna or whatever you believe. It actually links up to something, and it's consciousness. And he brought meditation. He was talking about meditation in the 20s. There's a whole history that people could read up on. I don't want to take up your time in explaining all about Yogananda, but yeah, it's such a blessing. Basically, I'm related on my father's side, and he's my great granduncle, but his eldest sister, Roma, was my great grandmother, and so his mother would be my great grandmother. So 4 generations. I'm 3rd generation, and it's a privilege. It's a blessing. I've been humbled by it on many different levels because of it. I'm not trying to fill his shoes. If I can just fill like an ounce or a centimeter, I'd be fortunate. But he has left behind so much wisdom that comes from the Vedic world, the Indian world, whatever you want to call it, but it's left such a mark. It has changed so many people's lives, millions across the world. So yes, so that's my background essentially.
Is that intimidating, by the way?
It has been. Like when I first started out, some people, let's just say that the followers of Yogananda would be kind of skeptical. Who's this dude? And then others would embrace me fully. And so there was a time where I was going back and forth. I was oscillating. Do I say this or don't I? Or, as I took courses and really delved into spirituality, though I had a guru since I was 13, I've been meditating since I was 13 on my mother's side, who I come to find out later on that they were both linked to the same teacher or the one who's the quarterback of all the stuff that we now embrace today. And then I have another lady named Ananda Moyima. So I have a trinity. I'm very connected. I'm very intuitive. I see things. I'm a bit of a weirdo. But what I'm trying to do is blend Eastern and Western philosophies. And then now that we have quantum physics, which is added a layer of understanding as we continue this journey of growth within humanity, that these sages, priests, shamans, etc. have been talking about. Now we actually have some proof, if you will. It's not just, hey, just believe it, And so we're in a beautiful position right now to really enhance the way we lead our lives. The oft-quoted Wayne Dyer, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and we are still stuck on being the human and forgetting about the spirit. So that's part of what really my intention is through Love More, is to say, listen, it's about consciousness. It's about our spirit. And I use a term called Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means truth. Chit means consciousness. And then Ananda means bliss. So our whole reason for being is to share that bliss with others through our own unique ways.
Lexi and you and I were all chatting before the interview. And so we were talking about what's going on right now, sort of astrologically and sort of on the planet. And I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I feel like, especially as somebody who's sort of working in this aspect of the universe, collaborating or putting together media with spirituality and self-improvement and expansion and understanding sort of the greater universe's meaning, that despite all of that, despite my best efforts, everything, I feel like I'm tripping over myself every other day and slogging through mud, sort of week after week. And it's not a continual thing, but it's been very much this way in like the last month or two. And I'm just curious if you've had any of that since. I've talked to a few other people feeling the same way.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's been going on even longer. Not that time matters. We're at a junction, and I think it's not really expressed or talked about a lot, except for the smaller groups. But there's a rapid change that's going on in the cosmos, the way the stars are, the way the planets are, and we're entering an age of the Aquarian age, which is more about love, and we're still in the edge of the industrial stuff and really the technology and communication and information. I feel personally that things have sped up even more so than even before. Like, we keep feeling like a day doesn't last as long. We're always on the go. There's so much stress in our lives as we're trying to adjust to this new vibrational frequency, if I can call it that. And we're so distracted too at the same time. I feel like I don't want to point any fingers, but the way that our planet is being ruled, or the stuff that we're fed, if I can say it that way, is kind of going against with what this huge quantum leap effect that's happening. Now, this confusion, I mean, you're going through all kinds of emotions. Is that what you're feeling? Like, one minute you're happy and the next minute you're down in the dumps?
Yeah, I don't know, Lexi, how do you, I mean, I certainly have been. I'm like, it's, whoa, you know,
that
yeah.
a little bit, and just exhaustion, just absolutely spent, burnt out, just done, to the point where, you know, if you were driving a car, you wouldn't, I mean, you might be like, just go, I know you can do it. You know, you're like yelling at the vehicle that you're in that maybe it's out of gas or it needs to go to the shop. But I feel like I do this. We do this to our bodies. We're like, come on, be productive. And so for me, it's been just trying to come to terms with, well, I may not be able to make my body do all the things all the time and be the most productive person on the planet. And then even if I was, what do I get? What is that productivity get me after I move on from this life?
Yeah. I mean, who set that? Who set that tone? Who set what are you producing? For whom? I think we get so bogged down what society wants us to do that we've totally lost touch with who we are and what we truly desire. And then we get to a point and, you know, is this all there is? We're being challenged to really look at that now, more so than ever. I mean, the chaos of our world is tremendous. And we're trying to, you know, now that we're in this inflation, recession, whatever you want to call it, I'm not really into the news or the economics of stuff, though I have to pay my bills just like everybody else and whatnot. But who set that? Like, why are we doing what we're doing? And I think until we actually, each one of us in the collective, change this consciousness that we have to produce X number of things in X number of hours, we're never going to be able to catch up, and we'll be always tired. And, I got to do 2 jobs because I got to pay this. And, you know,
Right.
This is all mixed up in so many ways. So within this, I feel there's this vibrational frequency, this amping up of energy that will allow us to quantum leap into a different place where we can see things from a higher perspective. And when we have the higher perspective, which is also known as higher consciousness, then we're going to start deciding if we want to continue on the same path that we've been on, or are we going to take on something new? And what that does is that our mind body goes, wait a minute, I've been in this habitual way, and I'm so afraid to enter this unknown. I'd rather stay here. I mean, that's the choice. Do I stay here, or do I move into that other vibrational frequency? It's almost like the Matrix movie, right? So I think a lot of us are having this spiritual awakening where we have to really go inside and see if we're doing what we're doing for the right reasons. Is it my reason? Is it really my purpose? Is it really my dharma? Are we supposed to exist this way? And I think this transitional period is really ruffling everyone's feathers. And so I think that's, in a nutshell, what's going on. What are we going to do to realize what it is that we need to do? And it's going inside. We've heard this for thousands of years, really, that we need to go in because life is happening through us, not to us. The reason why we get so angry is because we feel like we're victims of the circumstances in our world. And everything that we project out there is what's creating our reality. And if you are projecting, I'll say negative, I don't like the word negative, positive, but whatever you're projecting is what is being mirrored back to you. So it's a time now, if you choose to move into this high level of consciousness, you must take full responsibility for everything that's happened to you or happening now to you. Even when somebody has, let's say it's a relationship and they've called you all these names and blamed you for all this stuff, you have to take it on and say, okay, I created that reality. The mirror, like if you're standing behind a mirror, go ahead and try to change your being. You're not going to get, you can't change that, the effect of the mirror, what's being reflected. We're constantly trying to change the person outside of us or the company outside of us or whatever. No, the change has to happen within you so that the mirror, that the reflection that happens is your new consciousness, your new way of being, whatever, We got to get out of the idea that it's their fault. My life sucks because it's their fault. And it could be their fault. But what we projected is a frequency, an overall vibration based on the chakras and all the overall energy frequency of your vibration going out there is what you're receiving back. So it'll take you to move into a different level in order to make change. And, that's what I do for a living, is help people understand that you can't stay here. What are the different perceptions that will get you out of this space so that you are emanating whatever it is that you choose? And most of us want love. We want compassion, kindness. We want truth. We want, help me out. I mean,
Peace.
What do people want? Peace.
I want peace.
Meaning.
Right. Meaning, right. Abundance. That's shared, perhaps.
And we can't just sit here and just keep doing the things that we're doing and expect to change. We say that's insanity. Doing the same thing over and over and thinking that's going to change somehow.
So one of my questions about all this is that, there's a lot of mind stuff going on, our mind, controlling our mind. And my sense is that that's not enough, or that's not really where to start at. That doesn't hurt, but it's really about the feeling. And we talk about the vibration. And so maybe this is going way too far, but I feel like that vibration has to be felt. It has to be something we experience inside, so that it's just like, if I'm pretending here, if I'm a pond, and there's a pebble that hits my pond, it's going to sound strange, but then it's going to radiate out. So it's like I need to start from that feeling of whatever it might be, of love, of self-esteem, of pride in a positive way, of sharing my voice, those sort of things. Am I catching on the right right highway here, the right frequency freeway.
Absolute. But in order to generate that feeling, it starts with a thought. I think, therefore I am. Now, what I add, I don't want to you know what? It's my quote. I love, therefore I become. It has to start with the thought that I am love. In order to become that love, we're still in the land of cause and effect. And the law of vibration is one of the things it affects. So 100%, the feeling is what we need to generate. But how do we get to knowing what feelings we want? So what I do with clients is I have this acronym called vivid imagination. And in that process, what it does is that you go through the vivid, which is values is the first V. Intention is the second letter, I. The next V is vision. The next one is an I, which is identity. And the fifth one is destiny. So when you kind of sit with this, and it doesn't have to be that you have to start with values, but I think it's a great spot to start. If you ask yourself, what do I really value in life? What do I really want to experience? That gives you a certain understanding of you. What is the intention behind these values? Why do I want those values? So now you're going deeper and deeper into what it is that you want. With these values and intentions, what do I want to create? Going back to the experience, which is the vision. And then your identity, which is your self-concept. Who do you think you are? And we struggle with that question all day long. Who am I? Am I worthy of this? Am I enough? What do I need to do? Oh, I got to study 600 different courses before I can even be there. Whatever it is, we make these choices because we don't feel we're enough, but we are lovable. We were already gifted that when we came out of the womb. So when you answer those things, then you start the thought process. Why meditation is important is that you're trying to see what the landscape is. And if it's all crappy, you got to change the thought. So if you slow it down enough, you slow your mind down enough, you're able to recognize that these thoughts are garbage. Garbage in, garbage out. And it's generating these feelings. If the feelings, which is the energy that's emanating, it's the magnetic energies, if I can call it that. The thoughts are the electrical charges, whereas the feelings are more magnetic. What are you magnetizing to yourself? If your feelings are crappy, what are you going to magnetize? So going back to what you said, feelings are important. Absolutely. In order to achieve the desires that you want, you've got to shift the feelings to a higher vibrational frequency, a la David Hawkins, who has a beautiful grid, if you will, where he figured out where the emotions vibrate at. Shame and guilt are at the lower part, and love, courage, love, all the way to enlightenment is very high vibration. If your thoughts are consistently about shame and guilt and, oh my God, I did this, or he or she did that to me, you're going to stay in that low vibration. So that frequency, that feeling that's going out is you're going to keep attracting that. If you shift that up to, say, courage, just to have the courage to say, you know what, hubby, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is, this is how I'm feeling. We need to communicate in a way that I don't feel that shame or guilt. Now, sometimes you can't talk to that person because they're long gone or whatever. So I use the Ho'oponopono prayer, which is, please forgive me. I'm sorry. Thank you. I love you. And you can put it in any which order you want. It doesn't make a difference. But the intent is forgiveness. So forgiveness is such a great aspect in changing the thought process that creates the feeling that creates the desired result. And it takes inspired action. Sometimes we just sit back and think it's all just going to happen. We have a vision board and all this stuff. But if you truly don't have trust, faith, and belief in what you want to magnetize, which is the feeling, through the heart, then it's never going to happen. So the inspired action is inspired, if you were to look at the root of that, is in spirit, which is going back to who we are, spiritual beings, to realize that we are connected to some higher force, God, whatever you want, If we can truly trust that which we are, then we have a chance of manifesting the peace, the calm, the love, the stuff, the list that we talked about. I hope I explained that. I'm trying to be concise. I'm sorry.
I think it's interesting. I don't know how you feel, Lexi, but I was just keying in on trust. I think you said something like trust what we are, which is that we come from spirit, that we are spirit before we are ever a thought of physicality. Is correct? So I have to trust that sense of spirit that's in me. I mean, that's who I am.
Right.
Okay.
But do you?
I don't know. Probably not right this second.
I think that you can't. I think it gets exhausting. I think that we just, by virtue of maybe being in these bodies, just speaking from my own personal experience in meditation or in studies or in whatever your prayer, dedicating yourself to walking meditation, there's glimpses of your higher self. Or, I'm operating from my higher self for about 12 minutes a day, and that's fantastic. But for me, it's a workout. I mean, it is a workout. It's almost like on the the strength tarot card, which is the lady gently holding the mouth of the lion. It's like the higher self sort of gently taming the lower self.
Yes.
And so how do you sustain that other than, I was thinking about it, is that where Dharma comes in? If you find your Dharma, does that help you?
The Dharma is the end result. The action is what you want. And the action today that is really required for all of us is to become stress-free through things like meditation, prayer, nature walks. I mean, I love going out in nature to be with the trees, or, I love the ocean or body of water now that I'm in Toronto. There's an automatic peacefulness that happens where our parasympathetic system kicks in, which calms us when we go into nature or sit by a body of water. And there's an innate sense that I can accept this tree, that bird, or whatever as something that God, or whatever you believe in, has created, and they're free. The tree is a being. And when we connect to nature that way and just observe, that calms our senses down. Meditation, people make it like it's work. It's a practice. Life is a practice. And so the more you practice something, the better you get at it. Would that be true? So can you imagine if Kobe just didn't practice? Kobe Bryant, he was incredible. And that's where the mental game starts. The mind is our tool. The heart is our access to our spirit, our soul. The body becomes conditioned by the mind. And if we let our body become the ruler, then of all these emotions, this up and down that we're going through, then we get into trouble because the mind is now being the slave to, whether it's an addiction, food addiction, sex addiction, drug addiction. That's because the body is programmed to react rather than respond with the heart. So that's where the balance comes in. And so the CEO is not the mind. The heart is the CEO, which has all the information. When we say all the answers are inside you, it's by tapping into the heart, which through the heart you reach your higher self or soul, which is actually outside of you. It's not the body holding the soul. It's the soul holding the body. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So I know I'm going all over the place, but bringing it back down, the mind is the CEO. And the more you practice something, the better you'll get. And if you choose to say a half hour every day, I choose to calm down, relax, be in peace, and then you do that every day, it's like working out. Once you start working out, you just can't stop. You're almost addicted to it. Same thing with meditation or whatever practice that you want to follow. Prayer, reading some spiritual books, whatever it is that makes you want to understand yourself more.
So to Lexi's point about being exhausted, which I feel all the time too, Lexi, and I find that I need to spend a lot of time alone. I have to sort of like back up and be by myself for a while after spending time with a lot of
Yeah.
people, or even sometimes with a few people. But that sense of exhaustion, because we're trying, I don't know that we're trying, but I'm certainly aware of maintaining that higher self. So you're saying this is going to get easier? We'll be less tired and we'll be like better athletes at this?
Yes. Once you start answering some questions that align to your true nature, you, not what other people think you should be, your authentic self, as we call it, it's going to take a little work up front to really know what direction you want to go to. And it takes observation, not judgment, because this is the killer, self-judgment.
Right.
And judgment of others, for that matter. Judgment is killing us. We need to get to a state of discernment and not these hard boundaries. You want to do it that way, that's great, but I don't. I prefer not to do it that way. It's your choice. Discernment allows us the ability to say, hey, you know what? That's not for me. Or, when you have a close relationship, sometimes we demand it. No. If you want love to be present, you have to express it in a way that the other person understands, okay, this is a hard boundary, and we can communicate how we could get around this, because I think boundaries should be dotted lines, not this firm wall. And I think we all are living with these walls around our hearts. Well, majority. And so we're getting tired because we keep doing the same things that doesn't give us joy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I understand we all have to work to have the basic securities of life. But if you angle it that I'm going to this job so that I can come home, pay the bills, but I can do the things that give me joy, whether it's children, whether it's family, whether it's whatever it may be, whatever you dream of, being an entrepreneur, I think that helps relax the system. We're tired because we're scared too. We don't know where we're headed. With all this upheaval in our planet, it's scary. No matter which angle you look, whether it's social, whether it's economical, financial, whatever it may be, there's so much uncertainty. I don't really feel we have a true leader that's taking us to that peaceful pursuit of happiness. You can have happiness if you pay this, and now you got AI, and you got to, how many things are we supposed to take on? Our phones are such distractions. That's our brain now.
I agree completely.
I mean, that's supposed to be a tool. It's become our life existence. And it's like, there's so many people hiding out now behind some avatar on their social media, and all they're doing is scrolling. I put out so much out there, and I know the majority of people are just ding, 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 ding. You didn't take on one thing that could help you look at something in a different way. That's my whole goal. You don't have to agree with me, but look at different perceptions. So I feel like life is going too fast because we are feeding it too fast. The information that's coming, that's bombarding us, and FOMO hits, right? Oh God, if I don't know this, then I'm going to miss out on something. Now, that is the fear that whoever's running whatever, I don't know. I don't want to get into that, but that's part of the plan, is for us to get into that fear state. Everything that we look at has fear in it. We feel it and we just ignore it. Oh God, I just want my mind to be, calm, watching TV or doing whatever. But it's going to take some work for us to finally relax. And the work is actually becomes play with practice. You can't wait to sit on the mat. You can't wait to do the yoga pose. You can't wait to chant with your friends, or just even having an evening with your friends that you're talking about something other than what the world is doing to us, victimhood. So going back to the beginning, why are we feeling this way and what's happening? The planet has amped up. Either you change how you respond to this vibration, or or are you going to react with your fears? The same old thing. We need to really decide. And for me personally, I've come to a place of complete surrender. Letting go, surrender is not giving up. It's not that at all. You know, you're going to sit on the couch and wait for shit to happen. Oh, whatever they say is fine. No. Surrender is you're facing the fear. It's not fight or flight. It's face. That's what surrender is. Where you actually observe what it is that's going on in your life and accept everything. And then when you accept and become aware of the issue, you make shifts. And I'm going to be careful how I say this, but you give it up to God. You give it up to the universe, the main divine will or plan. And you put in the order. This is where I want to go. And here are the steps I'm willing to take. The inspired action, the daily that I need to be to, as we discussed, get a feeling that it is already done. So in surrender, I've looked at all kinds of things, and we're going to keep growing. It doesn't matter how old we are. But at this point, it's being in the moment and really being present to what is actually happening moment to moment. And knowing that I will magnetize, allow those dreams that I've been dreaming for so long, because I am lovable, I am worthy, I'm enough. So there's a whole, if you kind of follow this process, it's not even a step ladder. It's like ticking off things that you can handle, like wherever your ring is, type of a thing. Like I see rings, but I hope I'm answering what you had asked. I don't even remember what you asked, but I think surrender is key at this point. How about you guys? I mean, what do you think about surrendering?
It feels lighter.
The thought of letting go of stuff.
It feels lighter. I think Diana and I think all three of us were talking before we started recording that sometimes you're just like, I don't really know what to do anymore about X problem. And I just, give it up to God, give it up to universe. I'm giving it up to sort of the higher power for now, divine love, divine will. And I don't need to carry it right now. I just need it off my shoulders. And you're right. It's not giving up. And when you, I think, intentionally surrender something that you don't want to carry anymore, I think maybe some of those walls around your heart maybe start to crumble a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, my saying is you got to take all the bricks around your heart and create a bridge to everybody else around you. I think we become so hurt with whatever, from childhood trauma to partnerships to jobs, whatever the circumstance is or was. That's what created our walls. And yes, we can call ourselves introvert, extrovert, but we're here to serve, regardless of what, who you are. And what does that serving mean? And that's what we have to get. And that's the Dharma and the purpose. How am I serving? I mean, yeah, I could have been Mr. Corporate Man and made oodles of money, but it was fun for a while, but it didn't allow me to serve the way that I do today. And I'm still growing after 24 years. I'm blessed on so many levels. And then you get into, for a while there was the idea of imposter syndrome. Who do I think I am? There's, oh my God, my relationship broke, and oh my God, how am I going to continue? There's so many different, phases that we go through to learn our power. The truth is we're all equal. It's not my role in life that makes me better than you or how much money I have in the bank. It's our ability to serve and love. And that is what creates the vibrational frequency from your heart, that magnetic energy that pulls in the things that the universe believes you need or require in order to continue and build, or whatever that is that you're building, to be a better mother, to be a great husband, whatever it may be. That's the basics. I mean, see, the thing with us, we've been trained this way as kids, and we can't blame it all on our parents, but we were trained this way. The problem is the training is what's failing us. And we're taught to compete. We're taught that if you have A's are better than C's, but we're missing out in really helping people understand who they are, how they can contribute, rather than you got to do this, you got to do that, and the list goes on. There's so much that we could say or talk about, but it's time for us to take control of the reins that we've always been in control of, and know that we have what it takes to create the life that we truly want to experience, because you are the creator of your reality. And starts with a thought, starts with a vision, knowing what you value, and then things start to change slowly. Right now, I feel like the whole world is in the dark night of the soul.
Would you say it's possible, you guys, that just because, I mean, we've been trained this way, or that seems sort of normal, it's still sort of normal in a lot of places, but is it also that the world's shifting, so what we've done or who we've been or how we've accomplished things previously is not going to work it's not going to work in this new life, in this new earth?
Exactly. I feel you can't do it the same way ever again. I think we can use the COVID-19 as the line.
Right.
Maybe, where the shift had to happen. Because it's definitely shifted all of us one way or another, and how we think and how we approach life. And, people, I feel, are more self-obsessed, and it's all about them, like me, 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 me. And for the reason of survival and security. And the funny thing is, our planet is constantly expanding. You can't hold a stationary position. The longer you hold on to what you have, the world is expanding out. The planet is, the universe is, and you're holding so tightly to your whatever you deem is absolutely necessary, whether it be a gold watch or a Porsche, I don't know, or whatever. The materials don't matter anymore, and that we see it in the new generation. They want experience. They can't afford to buy a house. They want experience. Generation to generation, we're all kind of seeing it as, if there's 4 generations out there or more, I don't know what it is. I think we got to find the balance between these generations, because the planet has totally shifted or is shifting, and we're all feeling it. And we're judging each other for how we're behaving, but we don't know how else to behave. In order for this to shift, we have to have a collective consciousness that agrees on how to tackle life. There's changes happening. We might not be able to see it. I think the changes are happening. Even the fact that we're here on a podcast together and talking about this is a huge change. And it's just going to take more and more of this to finally get the message across to more people, more practice, if you will, where we finally can say, hey, wait a minute. That doesn't work for me. What is it going to take for all of us to work together? What can we really hold on to together that is the core, the foundation of being human? That's what I would rather talk about.
So that would bring us to love.
Yes. What is love? It's as personal as you can make it, but in general, to me, love is a choice. Love is an expression of who you are. Love is complete acceptance. Love is complete self-awareness. Love is kind. I think we kind of said this before. Kindness, respect. It's about honor and knowing that we are equal no matter what. our circumstances are. And it starts with self-understanding, self-realizing.
Well, isn't love at the core of our very creation? Isn't that part of the energy that created us to begin with as humans? I mean, some of us are aliens, but anyhow, that's another day. So isn't that at the core,
I believe so. I think everything,
at our
yes.
genesis?
I feel that I can go as far as saying the sacred heart of God or the universe, the core of whatever that may be, that vibration that comes from that core is radiating throughout the universe, and it is creating what we see today, which is the nature, the birds, the every being. And that, what we do with that raw force called love, is totally up to us. So it's almost like that raw force goes through our vessel, and based on how we've been educated, how we behave, etc., we actually constrict or expand whatever that vibration comes through our body to animate the essence of who we are. So if you have a bunch of boundaries and bunch of trauma and all that, that love is going through us and it's being filtered through your own self-definition. So the love is always there. It's like the air we breathe. It's always there. And people have a hard time using the word love because it has so many different connotations. So my mission is to help somebody understand what love means to them and then go even further, knowing that we are all love in the spirit of oneness.
Well, that's rather beautiful.
Thank you. I'll do my little part, whatever is meant for me to do. I've been given this task because I know it's probably programmed somewhere from the ethers, if you will, and it's up to me to fulfill it. And the beauty is, what I love about quantum entanglement and quantum physics and epigenetics and you name it, is that we can change now. Today, you make the decision that I am not going to be stressed. I'm going to surrender. I'm going to give up all the stuff that I think about that no longer turns me on, if you will. And I am going to go along this pathway lighter. I drop all those emotional bags that I have, and in doing so, I can create a reality that's closer to my true, authentic self by not just saying affirmations and not just doing a visualization because I wrote a script, but truly having a belief that that is already done. Kind of like what Stephen Covey has said, and Neville Goddard.
Oh,
Okay. I was not going to guess that.
Okay, so Neville Goddard and all these incredible, beautiful, amazing motivational speakers, and Napoleon Hill of Think and Grow Rich. You got to start with the vision. What is it that you want to create? And you have to have a mindset that believes, which is going back to the feeling, that it is already done. And if you can't have that image in your mind consistently, you're going to have mixed results. Hence, that's the process I've been going through for the last few months, fine-tuning what do I really want, and fine-tuning what do I need to give up or surrender, what do I need to let go, who do I need to forgive, who do I need to release that they're not in my auric field. Just let them go. I forgive you. I forgive myself for hurting you even. The guilt and shame that keeps us so stuck vibrationally. So I may be a teacher, but I'm always a student as well. And I had to take the student seat to really understand, why am I feeling like crap? And what is it going to allow me to become a balloon again and rise to the place that I actually belong? this is what the awakening is about today. This is why people are feeling like crap. This is why people are having a lot more dark nights of the soul. This is why we're tired. This is why we're stressed. Because we do not honor ourselves or love ourselves or respect ourselves or have compassion for ourselves. And the list goes on about what we think love is. It starts with you. We're right on ourselves when we want to judge ourselves. Oh, I did that again. I'm so stupid or whatever. I can make it even worse. Oh, but you know what? It's okay. I'm going to have that extra piece of whatever, but you're feeding yourself crappy food. Therefore, you're feeling crappy. Makes sense, right? Garbage in, garbage out. Cause and effect. What are the consequences of your day-to-day actions? I'm going to do this today. What's the consequence? How does it help build you? Or does it not? Who does it affect? So it's all about the questions we ask at this junction. And to really elevate today is going to require complete trust, faith. It's got to be so focused, not 5 options, because we're so good at doing pros and cons lists. What is the option? And really believe that you can do it as if it's already done. And that will create the vibration, which is the electrical energy that happens in your body to your nervous system, to the whole body, if you will. And then to the heart, which is the magnetic. That's the actual magnet, because the heart has its own consciousness. And that magnet is creating the feeling that magnetizes, that attracts, law of attraction, that brings forward the very vision that you've always had. Mic drop.
Completely.
Amen.
This all resonates with me.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
It helps so much. It helps so much just when you're sort of stuck in the weeds and you don't really know how to go about getting out.
Yeah, and it's going to take some integrity and honesty on our own parts. If you can't express yourself this way with the people that you believe you love or are good friends, whatever it may be, then what's the point? So find that circle of friends, or find that one person, or maybe it's even your partner. Not all partners are equal or have the same emotional abilities or regulation, or all these psychotherapy buzzwords, gaslighting and whatever. But
the person you resonate most with.
Idea of
and maybe it's just yourself. I mean,
right?
You're talking about having integrity and being honest. I mean, sometimes it's just I've got to have integrity with myself and be honest with myself. I can't bullshit myself any further.
I agree. And the thing is, we're so good at convincing ourselves sometimes that we know, because we can manipulate our mind to agree with whatever we want it to. That's why people go to therapists or whatever, some sort of healer to bounce ideas off of, or, they come to me or whoever, or a group of friends, because what we truly want is intimacy.
What?
We all want it. And that word intimacy is really, I break it down to into me I see. So I can't see myself.
You want to be seen.
Right. We in order for us to feel like we exist, we have to be seen. Right? And if we put ourselves in a cave, are we really being seen?
Well, no. But that means you're hiding out.
And can we really grow? Because, well, this is all I know. So relationships are meant to, whatever relationship. It doesn't matter if it's a love relationship or business partnership or whatever it is, relationships. They help us see ourselves. And when, and that's going back to the beginning again. They are mirroring exactly who we are in every moment. Good, bad, ugly. And our egos get in the way, and we put the middle finger up when we don't agree with what they're saying. But there's some truth and validity, because if you are truly the creator, the alchemist, the magician of your life, and you are created by the creator to create, another quote of mine, then take charge, take responsibility. Responsibility, the ability to respond in the highest way for you, to be the person that you say you are, which is going back to the integrity.
These are gems. And I don't mean that lightly. It's an interesting and different way to look at responsibility. It does not feel heavy to me in that sense. Then sometimes responsibility feels really heavy.
Right.
And certainly as a parent, I'm always like kind of preaching responsibility, but I'm not always necessarily acting it. But that sense of responsibility, that has a different, as you put it, and as you put it with our higher selves, it has a different meaning now.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's what I had to learn, to be quite honest. The onus doesn't sound good. Taking responsibility does. And when we take responsibility, we have choice. We can look at something in 500 ways or more, infinite ways, right? So when I take responsibility, my ability to respond with love, then I know that however I respond is my truth. And if it's from a higher level of consciousness, and I realize that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, and if I'm really connected to that spirit, to that universe, to God, whatever, then it is better for me to respond with that vibration than from my ego. I mean, I just wrote a quote. I really need to share this with you. You can be a host to God or a hostage to your ego. So replace God with whatever you want. That higher space, because there's atheists, there's all kinds of people. Hey, it's all good. Whatever you need to empower yourself. See, empower means I am power. Empower. Just change it a little bit. I'm power. But I am generous, which is love. I am charitable, which is love. I am kind, which is love. I am non-judgmental, which is love. I am free is what I want to be. I want to live in freedom, and freedom to me incorporates all of it. Joy, abundant, fill in your blank, because it's really none of it's my answers. None of this is all coming through me again. People love to say in every session that I do, I know. No, you got to turn that. You don't know anything. I don't know anything. If I did, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't choose to be here.
Isn't that part of this adventure, though? Isn't that part of what we're doing right now? Is not knowing. So we're trusting because we honestly don't know. This is a new frontier. It's a new journey, a new place to be.
Yes, and that's why we chose to do this, but that's where intuition comes in. It's about knowingness. It's not about the I know. It's just like collecting cars. You're collecting certificates that you memorized something or you've experienced something. But a knowingness is going not from the mind, it's at the heart of things. That generations have been already programmed in our body. 7 generations are programmed into our body. There's 256 people that are within our being.
How many? How many people?
256
that have contributed to my DNA.
People. Yes.
Is that
why
science?
I have 256 personalities.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. Yeah, I mean,
That's wild.
it's turning the I know to I flow,
Uh-huh.
I grow to I
Mm-hmm.
glow. I flow to, I think I said that in the first
Mm-hmm.
podcast, but
You
you got to
did.
remember, it's not about what you know, right? Because I think if we really allow ourselves some peace and quiet our minds down, we can get into that space where we can actually talk, pray, or meditate, download, however you want to see it, and be in the flow of spirit so that we can actually receive the answers that we really require to make the next step. Forget about getting to the end point. What's the next step? I think that's our struggle.
Right. As we were just talking, I was thinking, okay, so we're all kind of in this struggle right now, but is this preparation for something next? I mean, like, and I'm like, and I don't feel an oh no sense, but I feel like this is preparation not only for what's coming next, but the next.
Well, Diana, I know you to be a very intuitive being.
Maybe.
You have so many gifts. I know you're hosting this show. And for the sake of for your audience, I mean, people need to know that we all have this gift of intuition, and some people have honed into it for whatever reason. But I think you're intuiting that there is a big change coming, and we can have 8 billion perspectives, apocalypse or whatever, like. But those who tune into, like you do, Lexi, I don't know if you do. I apologize, but I'm not trying to single.
Yeah, right.
It depends on the day.
Right?
No, Diana is extremely intuitive. With me, it depends on the day. Do I?
Right.
I mean, today, maybe not so much.
So I think, everybody has a version of what's coming, but I think there's a collective. I think we need to come together and discuss and communicate more so than ever, because the way it's going, we're all in fear. Majority of us are in fear. Those who know what's actually happening in the 3D level, well, they may not be scared. But I think it's time for us to really go out there to the intuition, to the 5D, the 22D, whatever you said. It's just the voice has to be authentic. So my intuition, what would I like to see? Harmony, peace, balance, getting along. I don't want labels anymore. Everybody can be whoever they want to be and keep it to yourself. Just give me a name that I can call you, and that's away we go. And know, like, just be you, and let's contribute. Let's work on a farm if we have to. I don't know. I mean, the food supply. I can go on so many tangents. I won't go.
Believe me, I can too. Trust me, I'm all about the soil. All about the soil and climate change and resiliency in plants. But that's a whole other subject.
But what's your intuition or vision?
Mine? Well, as we were talking in that, since we collectively know we are all sort of going through this period where, as we said early on in the conversation, we're all trying really hard, but no matter what, it's like my best efforts, my best physical, mental, emotional, spiritual effort is 2 steps forward and 1 step back, or 2 steps forward and 10 steps back. And, this happens and this happens or whatever. But so it feels like I'm in the weeds or in the mud. But so it feels like this is just training. Like we're just training, and we're definitely like, this is the Olympic team, man. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. We're doing it. And then we're going to go, oh, guess what? We haven't even made it to the game yet. We're just getting our team together.
Yes.
And then it's what's next up after this is what we're really preparing for.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's good or bad, or if it's dark and light. I mean, there's always going to be the dark and the light. There's always going to be this quantum fight. There will be, and it's it's on right now, very much on right now. But then it may expand even further. And I feel like we are in deep preparation. And I have somebody in my life, or I did, who's very successful in a very 3D earthly way. And he always said, I just prepared for this. I didn't know if it was going to happen, but I prepared for it. And so for whatever it's worth, it feels like we're preparing, that we're this team, we're preparing, and we're definitely going to win. But we are definitely, it's going to be game time in a bigger way than we've imagined.
Right. Right. And that's beautiful. And I think we're always being prepared for the next. Like if we looked at our last big challenge, which may have been just a personal challenge, you come out, even though you like lost everything, like emotionally, mentally, physically, you do get up eventually. For some people, it takes longer. It's not about the time, but you can handle something new or better, or however you want to. So I think we're constantly, if we, like that analogy of the river, you got to flow flow along with the river to get to the ocean, right? And I think majority of us at this junction are holding to the sides of the riverbed because that patch of land, or whatever you want to call it, the river edge, is what they think they need to have in order to be happy.
Yeah, but it'll drown you.
And right? Because you're holding on so tight, eventually your hands get tired, which is where society is today, right? Stressed out, holding tight. And they're not willing to trust that if they let go, that they're going to land into a way better space. And that's the authenticity. That's the surrendering. That's the letting go. And that's what you're talking about, that, you've been prepared for this. Now you know how to, right. Whether it's a raft or your body, I don't know, that you're going to be able to float with the river. And I think that's important message for people to understand. Don't give up. Surrender. Kind of feels like an oxymoron.
No, I think that's beautiful. And I think it's truth. And there's a lot of love in that as well.
Yeah. Because, I mean, like I said earlier, to love is to become. And become always gives becoming, like a lotus coming from the mud through the water and finally receiving the sun and showing off its beauty. We're the same thing. And when I think that I am, and the statement I am is really that. I am that I am, which is that. Part of the problem with humanity is that they have to attach an adjective beyond am. I am loving. I am a doctor. I am, like, we restrict ourselves so much by those labels, whatever it is. I couldn't think of a better example, but do you know who I think I am? That's what we should be saying. But hey, how are you? What do you do? I do me. How's that? I do me.
Right.
Right? So, I love socializing, and I love going to the park And I love walking. I love reading. I love spiritual conversations. I love music. I love dancing. Life. You know what? I actually have a couple of scotches every now and then. Is that a problem? Because I'm not wearing a robe, but I'm teaching spirituality. Therefore, I cannot have a drink, apparently. Stop judging me.
Or judging
Or stop
ourselves.
judging people.
Right. It's just about judging ourselves. If I'm judging you, I'm judging myself.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. That's the mirror. There we go.
It's pretty simple.
It really is. It really is. It's taken a long time, personally, for me to really get it. And like I said, I've been meditating since 13.
Just remarkable, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. But, at this junction, you don't realize, because you're so caught up in pleasing others, the gift that I had at that moment and how much I've carried, understanding that that's always been in me. And then when the cloud finally lifted or my awareness kicked in through practice, what life means to me today. And I don't know where I'm headed. And, but my choice, love is choice. And what are you choosing? And that's all I got.
Okay. I think that's pretty awesome. I mean, I'm feeling very filled up. I hope that sounds right. But I do that. This conversation's filled me up.
I'm happy.
Gratefully. And I think it's given us, it feels like to me, it's given me a lot of, like get on that conveyor belt again. There's some flow. That's what I should say. It feels like there's flow again.
Good.
Yeah.
And maybe this will help all of us to finally rise above the stress, the mud that we started off with, to just, I got to continue one more thing. Yogananda came not to teach meditation yoga. Those are tools to realize. It's called self-realization fellowship. It's to realize that we are all one with the Creator. And when you bring that idea, that thought that I am blank, that thought sparks the heart. And if you really want to magnetize the very things that you want in life, then you got to start with that thought. I am. And that will give you the confidence and allow the nervous system and all the circulatory system and all your entire body to go, okay, I am. And when you get to that place, that's what this 40 years of my meditation has brought me to this spot, to finally give it up and surrender to the Creator that created me to create. And it doesn't have to be about religion. It's about spirit, the vibration running through each one of us that's affecting every proton and atom and whatever, electrons, and is what creates the matter of this place that is an illusion, really. And so why can't we all just be happy and peaceful? We were engineered that way, but we are effing it up big time.
That is a really good thought. It's a really interesting conversation, actually, that we're neurologically programmed for that, but we're not, but we're talking our neurons out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And we think we're just affected by our parents or ancestry. I'm sure maybe you've had other guests who've talked about all the different energies that affect us. Whether it's a lizard up somewhere in Mars, I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. But
lizard in my backyard.
Yeah.
Hey, we were at Alien Con, so Could be.
Oh, nice. I think there's aliens. There's because there's no time. We have multiple lives going on at the same time. I think there's the astrology. I think there's I can't even list them all, right? Affecting us. But all we have to think is about this moment. Every teacher tells us, be in the now, in the moment. That's where all the answers are. Life already happened in the past, and the future you don't control. So just be here now and become the observer. As the creator is observing us, we are doing the same thing, and as the image and likeness of that being. We're here to simply observe. And through the observations, we can take what we've learned and share it with others and do our groceries and do our, take care of our kids and go do our job. But know that that's who you are.
But I want to be sure that we talk a little bit about where people can talk to you, how people can talk to you, where you're going to be appearing next. Are there workshops coming up online that we can get involved in? Any public speaking engagements, those kinds of things?
Yeah, everything's in the works, but one of the main things that I'm working on is a book / workshop / whatever. And when I say whatever, that will create speaking engagements. It's called Supercharged, and you can find that when it's ready. I'm hoping in a couple months, to be honest. I'm taking the Love More is going to come after now, but that's part of Love More, Supercharged. I am Supercharged, and that's about vibration and energy and what we kind of talked about today.
Yeah, it's very exciting, actually. I really love that. And I think people can really resonate with that right now. And I think we need it.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's where people's mind is, because if I were to go out there with Love More, people are going, well, I don't know how that's going to pay my bills. So I'm making that shift. So you can find me on sujondatta.com for more moment to moment. You can go onto my Instagram page, which is Sujon Datta Healer, SUJONDATTA Healer. Facebook, I'm starting to move away from because it's not serving my purpose. And TikTok is coming. I mean, there's so much to put out there, and video is it. So I'm learning how to do that. And so here I am. And I'm gonna, do whatever it takes to help people in whatever medium there's available. So I'm working on a total package.
Awesome. We never know what's going to happen next.
No.
Might be something even more. So
thank you.
Anyway, yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm just trying to absorb everything. I feel completely different and in a slightly higher vibration than when we started. So thank you for that. And you give us a lot to think about.
You. That's what I hope to help people with. And I'm so happy that it translated today on this podcast. And I hope to your listeners, even one little point can shift everything. 1 degree, and we end up in a totally different place. So I appreciate that you felt that way, and thank you for having me on.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Soul Fam podcast. Be sure to tune in to every episode where we dive into a different rabbit hole of the known and unknown to empower you in conscious living and exploration of the greater universe. We hope you leave each episode with a little stardust in your hair and inspiration in your heart. With love from your Soul Fam.